Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Nedarim. We are up to Perek Aleph Mishnah Gimel. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbayev Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelo ben Chana bat Miriam, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen, and Avdi ben Chaim Lechaim for the Refuah Shelema of Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shach Chulei Israel. Like we learned earlier, it is possible to make Nedarim by linking the object of the Neder to a forbidden item. The classic example of this is the statement, this object is like an offering. This Mishnah deals with statements that contain some hint to an offering, but do not mention one explicitly. Haomer lo chulin, lo ochalach. If one person says to another, not chulin, I will not eat that which is yours, which is understood to mean your food is not chulin, rather it is sacred, therefore I will not eat it. Now the word chulin refers to ordinary objects that have no sanctity, so the statement, your food is not chulin, implies that the food is sacred, like an offering. Lo kasher velo deche, or if he said, not kosher, fit, or not deche, not permitted. Now, he said, lo kasher, lo ochalach, which is interpreted to mean, your food is not kosher, fit, rather it is pasul, unfit, therefore I will not eat it. And the same formula also applies to the Mishnah's cases, not deche, not taor, etc. Now the terms kosher and pasul hint at sacred offerings to which the states of kosher and pasul are relevant. Therefore, if one says this food is not kosher, he has linked the food to an offering which is a valid neder. Although the word kosher alludes to offerings, if one declares the food to be kosher rather than not kosher, the neder is not valid since he is saying that the food is permitted. And again, velo deche or not deche, permitted. Now the description not permitted, meaning prohibited, is used in reference to offerings, and therefore it's an effective term for neder. Now, the term not permitted actually can also hint at other types of forbidden foods, such as pork, which are forbidden in their own right, and not because of a person's declaration. If so, this term should not be effective for nedarim, because the rule is that when a neder draws a link to a forbidden item, the forbidden item must be of a type whose prohibition comes from a person's declaration. The statement, this food is not permitted, is nevertheless a valid neder because of another rule. When a person clearly wants to make a neder, but his statement has two possible meanings, one that is valid for a neder and one that is not, we assume that his intent was for the valid meaning, as we will see later, bli neder in chapter 2, Mishnah 4. In our case then, where someone said not permitted, he presumably referred to something that is forbidden by a person's declaration, such as a korban, which makes his neder valid. Tahor or not tahor, not pure. Now, meaning he said this food is not tahor, not pure, which implies that it is tameh, impure. V'tameh notar u pigul, or tameh, impure, or notar, leftover, or pigul, prohibited by a disqualified thought. Now, tameh describes an offering that became disqualified because it was affected by tumah. Notar is the meat of an offering that became prohibited because it was not eaten before its deadline. Pigul refers to an offering that became disqualified because while performing one of its services, meaning shchita, let's say for example, Shrita, the Kohen intended to throw its blood, to burn it, or to eat it after the allotted time, or in the wrong place. Asur, in all of these cases, the other person's food becomes forbidden to him. Since these terms are used in connection with offerings, the person presumably means to link the food to an offering, and therefore his neder is valid. The Mishnah lists more such nedarim. Ka'imra, if one said that which I eat of yours is like the lamb, which presumably refers to an offering of a lamb, kadirim, or like the enclosures, which presumably refers either to the temple chamber in which the firewood was stored, or to the temple chamber in which the sacrificial sheep were kept. The chambers of the temple became sacred to a person's declaration because they were paid for by half shekel coins that every man had to declare sacred and contribute to the temple each year. Ka'itzim, or like the logs, which presumably refers to logs of wood that were arranged on the altar in the temple. 2 logs of firewood had to be arranged on the altar each day, as stated in Seder Vayikra, chapter 6, Mishnah 5. Ka'ishim, or like the fires, which presumably refers to the offerings which were placed on the fires of the altar. Kamizbech, or like the altar, which presumably refers to offerings which were burned on the altar. Ka'echad, like the sanctuary, which presumably refers to offerings whose service was performed inside the sanctuary. For example, the blood of an inner chatat offering was taken inside the sanctuary, where it was sprinkled toward the curtain, the parochet, that separated the holy from the holy of holies, and then applied to the inner altar, as it says in Zvachim, chapter 5, Mishnah 2. Kirushalayim, or like Yerushalayim, which presumably refers to offerings which were offered in the temple in Yerushalayim. nadar bechan mikol mishamishei hamizbeach, or if he vowed by referring to any of the accessories of the altar. These include the forks that were used to turn over the sacrificial meat, the bowls in which the blood of offerings was caught, and the shovels used to scoop up the ash on the altar. If one said, like the forks and that which I eat of yours is that which I eat of yours, or like the bowls, or like the shovels, he has made a valid neder. Af al pi shelo iskil korban, in all of these cases, even though he did not mention an offering explicitly, it is as if he vowed with reference to an offering, and his vow takes effect. Rabbi Yehuda says, if someone says Yerushalayim, I will not eat that which is yours, he has not said anything. Without the word like, which links the object of the neder to Yerushalayim, the neder is not valid. Now, without the word like, the person seems to be making a shvuah, by the life of Yerushalayim I will not eat, which is a meaningless statement. The primary formula of a shvuah is by the life of God I will, etc. Therefore, he has made neither a neder nor a shvuah. And the same ruling applies to all the other objects listed above: lamb, enclosures, logs. In each case, the neder is not valid according to Rabbi Yehuda unless he adds like. Now, by naming Rabbi Yehuda as the Tana of this ruling, the Mishnah implies that the first Tana disagrees. According to the Tana Kama, Nedarim do not require the word like. And the Rav does tell us, Ve'en alechak Rabbi Yehuda, the Alechah does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. That is in Rabotai Mishnah Gimel. Mishnah Dalet continues, Ha'omer korban olam mincha chatat uda shlamim sheni ochelach asur. If one person says to another, a korban olah, the korban olah and all the other terms listed here, mincha, chatat, uda shlamim, are different types of offerings. If one person says to another a korban olah, or a mincha, or a chatat, or a todah, or a shlamim, and adds that I will not eat that which is yours, for instance, he said, korban olah sheni ochelach, a korban olah, that I will not eat that which is yours, he has made a valid neder, and the other person's food is forbidden. Even though he did not add like, by saying like a korban olah, and therefore did not explicitly link the food to one of these offerings, the words he did say suffice to show that he intended to link them. Here too, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda matir. Rabbi Yehuda rules that the food is permitted because the neder did not include like. Now, the dispute between the Tana Kama and Rabbi Yehuda is the same as their dispute in the previous Mishnah. The dispute is repeated here in order to teach that Rabbi Yehuda requires the word like, even when an offering is mentioned explicitly. The previous Mishnah teaches that the Tana Kama does not require like, even along with Yerushalayim, which merely hints at an offering. Now the Mishnah elaborates upon the Tana Kama's view, HaKorban, KaKorban, Korban Shochel HaChasur, whether he said the offering, or like the offering, or simply an offering, and then added is that which I eat of yours. For example, the offering is that which I eat of yours, he has made a vow neder, and the other person's food is forbidden to him. Either he explicitly compared it to an offering, as in like the offering, or it is clear that he intended to do so, as in the offering or an offering. Now this Mishnah and the preceding one already taught that the Tana Kama considers like the offering and an offering to be acceptable. However, once it mentions the new term, the offering, it puts all the related terms together. One might have thought that when someone says the offering, it means to swear by the life of the offering, which is meaningless. Our Mishnah therefore teaches that this is in fact a valid term for a neder. Another statement that implies a link to an offering, la korban lo ochalach, if one person says to another, to the offering, I will not eat that which is yours. Rabbi Meir forbids him to eat the food because it is as if he said, your food will be as though it were designated to be an offering, therefore I will not eat it. According to Tana Kama, however, this is not a valid neder because la korban is understood to mean not a korban. The Mishnah now turns to a different matter. The Rav just tells, before we continue, the Rav tells us, Ven Alechek Rabbi Meir, the Alechah does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Now, the Mishnah turns to a different matter. According to biblical law, a neder works only if it is directed at something tangible, such as food. The Mishnah teaches how it is possible to use a neder to prohibit something that is not tangible, such as speech or an action. If one person says to another, konam is a substitute word for korban, konam my mouth as regards talking to you, or konam my hand as regards working for you, or konam my feet as regards walking with you, he is forbidden to do any of these activities. The neder is biblically valid because it applies to something tangible, mouth, hands, feet, whereas the action, talking, working, walking, which is intangible, is forbidden only as a result. And regarding one who says konam, that I will not speak, or the like, we will see later B'ezrat Hashem B'li Neder in chapter 2, Mishnah 1. That is the Nabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.